Hello again, Raphael Webb, and I'm going to talk about my father, Marek Webb, in the second episode of Moments with Marek. And what I'd like to discuss today um, are those moments when your loved one is struggling with Alzheimer's, those few and far between moments that are like um, snowflakes in your palm. You know, like when you pick up a few snowflakes in your palm and they're there and they're beautiful, but they melt away very quickly. And if you blink, you'll miss them. So what am I talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is those few moments that I experienced with my father where he became lucid. And actually, for this particular episode, I'm only going to talk about one moment that he became lucid. That's why this moment is called Lucid for the Last Time, because it was the last time my father and I had a conversation where his engagement with me was not infected by his detachment from himself and his detachment from reality, but where he was actually within himself and he knew what was happening to him, and I knew what was happening to him, and we both mourned together for the same amount of time until, boom, it was gone and he was back out into the ether. So one of the important things about, and I'm going to shift over here to, I'm just going to like to introduce myself over here. I'm going to talk about the importance of a relationship between a son and a father. Okay, there are all kinds of parental relationships, but in this case, it's just between a son and a father, myself and Marek. A father's job, amongst many, is to teach their son how to be a man. And one of the ways that a father teaches a son how to be a man is to talk to him, and to talk to him in such a way that the son knows that the father cares and the father wants him to be a man. And we as children instinctively know when our fathers want to be fathers, want to talk to us, and want to help us grow and become men. And I was lucky enough that my father loved being a father and loved showing me how to be a man. We did all kinds of stuff together that we'll talk about in the future. We took bike rides every night in Queens. We went to my old high school and we jogged around the track, and we went different places, to the zoo and to movies, and he took me to baseball games even though he wasn't interested in baseball, when I was a kid. And so I had gotten used to my father engaging with me as he was with his kind of a personality. And as we all know, Alzheimer's robs that. And so all I had were memories of my father being my father, with me doing things that my father was supposed to do. So as you can see over here he is with me doing things that dads do. All right, so this is way back in the 70s, 80s. Here we're 1968 or 1969 or something like that. And my dad just being a dad. Okay? But I think what happened was Alzheimer's took away the dadness in him, and he didn't realize it 90% of the time. But one night in Queens, around the beginning of 2020, my father and I were sitting next to one another. He couldn't go to sleep. So I'm just going to go back to this picture again, because this was the person that I was sitting with. It was probably around 10 or 11 o'clock. He couldn't go to sleep. In his Alzheimer's, he would wander, he would sundown. So I gave up trying to put him to sleep, and I sat down with him at the dinner table. And I wasn't expecting much out of him. But suddenly, out of nowhere, my father, he didn't give me eye contact. He looked down and he suddenly said to me in a very genuine voice, and not with the flat affect that he had when he was confused and not himself, but with genuine emotion, he said, and it was in Polish, but it translated out to, I'm not normal. I'm not myself. I am no longer a living person. So here I am, I'm looking at my father who had suddenly emerged into this moment of clarity, suddenly understanding what was happening and mourning him losing himself and not being able to do anything about it. And what was hard for me was I couldn't say anything to make him feel better. So all I could say to him was, Dad, I'm losing you. And he didn't give me any eye contact, and he just looked down at the floor and he said, I know. And then, the tears were running down my eyes, and I said, I love you, Dad. And I was hoping he would say it, but he didn't. That's it. After that, he was gone. He just got up out of the chair and he started to wander. So it was like the last time my father and I ever had a lucid conversation. Now, I don't know if it was the last time he was ever lucid. I wasn't there all the time. But it was the last time he was ever lucid with me. And that's why I equate it with snowflakes in your palm, because you have this beauty in your palm and then it just melts away and then it's gone. And so the lesson I learned from this was that you have to hold on to these moments. You never know when they're going to come. And if you blink, they're gone. Okay? And then while they're there, you have to hold on to them for dear life, because as soon as they come, they go away. And there is nothing that you can do about it. And it was probably, I would have traded years and years of cleaning, showering, drying, dressing, and doing all those difficult physical things that simply become a routine with somebody with severe Alzheimer's. I would have gladly had years of that than had that one fraction of a second where his lucidity disappeared and I could do nothing to bring it back. I could do nothing to bring my father back. So I just had to kind of go on. So that's that story. There's nothing else to say about that. But there is one interesting sidelight to this story that I do want to mention. And that sort of brings a little bit of a silver lining to this whole thing. Is that my father was never one to say, I love you. In years I was a kid, a teenager, he was never one to just come out with it. He wasn't that type. I knew he loved me. He was the type of person who didn't have to say it in order for me to know it. But he wasn't the type to kind of just say it. But as he was falling into his dementia, that seemed to loosen his inhibition on that. And he just started to say, I love you to me. Now, sometimes he would say it after I say it, and sometimes he would just come out with it. I don't know if he was understanding what he was saying or he was just saying it because he had heard me say it. But he was saying it a lot more when he was in his Alzheimer's than he was when everything was normal in the years past. And so at the very least, I can hold on to that. So anyway, that is that moment with Marek, and there will be more. And again, I hope to speak to some of you in the future about your experiences. But until then, everybody be good. And if I'm not back before Christmas, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. And I'll see you soon.